Hello. I see people starting to come in. Hello. I'm so excited to see everyone back again today for day 2 of the Enchanted Ireland extravaganza. Oh my goodness. I'm just so excited to be here with you again. I have a lot of goodness, a lot of magic plans for Dagda today. And also, I know that this is just going to be a jam-packed Tuatha day. There is just so much magic that's wanting to come through for everyone. There's at least one story, there may be 2 stories. There is a really powerful activation and also just kind of messages from Dagda himself. So as everyone's trickling in, I'd love again, like put where you are in the chat, and also how familiar are you with Dagda? Because a lot of times people might hear him in different legends, but it's always kind of just a brief mention of Dagda. So I'm curious, what brought you here today to learn more about the gods of the Tuatha. And while you guys are answering that question, and just also feel free to share any takeaways from yesterday, anything that you experienced from the activation, anything that's really in your heart to share. And while you guys are sharing all of that in the chat, I also want to kind of start today by telling you something that I'm really, really excited about. And I hinted at this yesterday, but I wanted to just like open with it today. That if you want to experience, yesterday we went on a very magical journey to the Hill of Tara. If you would like to actually go and experience the Hill of Tara for yourself in person, I'm actually going to be doing a trip there. It's going to be September 14th to 18th, 5-day trip this year, 2024. And if my astrology is correct, and it should be, it's actually like there is a lunar eclipse. So it's going to be very powerful astrology during that window. And if you would like to go, there's so many places we'd be visiting. We'd be visiting, it's like Kildare, where the fires are lit for goddess Bridget. We'd be going to Usanek, it's this very powerful place, which is considered the mythological and spiritual heart of Ireland, where the Tuatha were said to gather. And also, it's just a very mythic, very powerful place. All of the places on this trip, I should tell you the name of course, you might have guessed from the extravaganza, the name of this beautiful 5-day trip is Enchanted Ireland. And so really the intention of this trip is to bring you very, very deeply into an experience of enchantment. All of the places we would be visiting would bring you to sites that are very sacred to the Tuatha, and also they'd be places that there would be a great activation of your own personal destiny. And there's also the Cliffs of Moher, which are beautiful. For anyone, if you've seen almost any, I feel like any romantic comedy, any romantic movie set in Ireland, the Cliffs of Moher are always there. So just so you know, that's also on the trip. And this, if you're called, I believe my support team is putting the link in the chat. If you would like to go to Ireland with me, this is just a beautiful way to experience the magic together. And I also want to say that if you come, actually right now it's like early bird is on till the end of June. And if you come in early bird, you also get something really special, which is a course. It's called Destiny Enchantment, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about this course. This course is open for everyone, whether you want to go with me to Ireland or not. This is a beautiful course that's really going to bring you even more deeply into the magic of Ireland. It's 4 weeks, all about the Tuatha. So if you're curious and you want to learn more about that course, we're going to also put the link for that in the chat. And so if you come on the beautiful trip, you get the course as a bonus. If you want to just take the course in its own right, you can do that too. And the course, I'm going to share more about this today, but the course really goes through, it's like there are the 4 sacred treasures of the Tuatha, which came from the 4 fairy cities. And in this course, we will travel to each of the fairy cities, and you'll also have a powerful experience of connecting with the 4 fairy treasures. So if you want to continue the journey online, and we still have 2 very powerful days left. of the Enchanted Ireland extravaganza. But if you want even more magic, you can see if either of those paths call to you, if it's the online course or the trip. And remember, if you come on the trip, you get the course as a bonus. So just wanted to open with that because I'm just so excited to share that with you. The link for that should be in the chat. If you guys want to see all the beautiful sacred sites on that list, it is amazing. I poured so much into creating this for you. And at the end of today's class, if you have any questions about the content for today or also questions about the trip, I'm happy to answer those as well. But for now, let's get into the content. Let me check in the chat what everyone experienced yesterday. Let's see. Oh, Monica, you are in Delaware. Oh my goodness, you're not that far from me because I'm from New Jersey. Roxanne, you're from Northern California. You love the Irish tale of gods and goddesses. That is perfect. Rose, you're back from Texas. You love yesterday's session and you're so looking forward to today. I am really looking forward. And Leslie, you are from England. I am beaming. I'm so happy to be here with everyone today. So let me just get started with that. So for everyone here, I want to open today. Where did I put this? I was all excited. I think I got overly excited. Oh, it's over here. Okay. So I have this beautiful thing. It's called the Celtic Tree Oracle. And so I like to pick cards. And so the card I drew for today, so each card is a tree, which isn't surprising, especially everyone knows how much I love trees. But the card I drew for today was birch. And so, of course, that makes perfect sense because, I think that we brought up, I was sharing yesterday how in the magical storytelling forest, it's not just oak trees now, but there's also birch and crabapple. And someone wrote in the chat that birch is symbolically connected to new beginnings. So anyway, I was like, okay. And I stored that away in the back of my mind. And then I picked the card for us today. And of course, it's birch, new beginnings. And so I just want to just read a tiny bit about this. I won't go into great detail, but it says here, the birch stands out as a graceful, slender tree with a characteristic white bole. The white indicates cleanliness and determination in overcoming difficulties. So by choosing this card, the white birch, it means a new start is upon us. But before this new start can begin, anything that is kind of holding us in the old energy needs to be released. So we're going to be doing some more of that today. And let me just see here. Let's see, Rami, you wrote in the chat. Oh, interesting. So, Rami, you're talking kind of about the Leafal. It's almost like it's a phallic kind of symbol similar to Osiris. I love that. That's really beautiful. Rama, I know that you also bring in I've connected with you before, such a deep understanding and wisdom connected to the Egyptian mysteries. And there are some mysteries, some stories that actually connect. I believe it was Queen Nefertiti, one of the Egyptian queens who actually was supposed to have come to Ireland herself. So that remains shrouded in mystery. And yet I find that I believe it. So, I just want to say that there is always a connection between a lot of these mythic early cultures. They had a lot of secret, very mysterious interplay between them. So Rama, thank you for bringing that in. And so anyway, I have someone else posting in the chat. I'm just going to say this and then we'll go. Yes, Annabelle, you're saying Egypt and Ireland are immensely connected. Thank you for bringing that in because for anyone who's done like more serious work with me, out of nowhere, I'll just bring in the Egyptian pantheon. These are my two big things. I love Egypt. I love Ireland. And so for today, though, I really want us to be more in that energy of the Irish gods and goddesses, the Tuatha Danann. But I'm sure that when we go into Sacred Circle, any beings that you work with who are called into the space, whatever pantheon they hail from, they are certainly most welcome. So I just wanted to open with that. And I have a lot I want to share about Dagda. But first, I wanted to kind of just do a brief little intro on the Tuatha Danann. And I thought that I was like, I could share this. I had a lot I wanted to share. But first and foremost, I decided that I would actually read part of a small passage. And so the book I'm going to read I'm not going to read, I promise, I won't read that much. I just want you to really feel the frequency, the energy of this. This is a book called Gods and Fighting Men by Lady Gregory. And so I'm not sure if people here are familiar with Lady Gregory. So for those of you who are not like super literary like buffs, like Lady Gregory was the patroness of W.B. Yeats. And if you actually go to the west of Ireland, I've actually been here. I've been to the Lady Gregory's house, and she loved Yeats's poetry. She loved, because he was writing stories and poetry about fairies and magic and stuff that a lot of people at that time, most of Ireland was very much kind of in that James Joyce, that kind of that more sad, somber energy. And Yeats comes along and he's like, oh, I'm just bringing through the joy. I'm bringing through the magic of the Celtic past. And I feel like that's part of my sacred and divine intention, being here with all of you in this sacred space, because I feel that there is such a sublime and divine legacy of Ireland as a place of massive enchantment, of sheer joy and wonder. And that's what the Tuatha are wanting to awaken in us. So regardless of what has happened on the world stage over the last few thousand years, and in Ireland, we're looking at different invasions, we're looking at colonization, we talked about even deforestation, what happened to the land. But really, Ireland, the Tuatha are inviting us not to overlook what has happened, but to remember this ancient heart of magic that is still beating. In like Ireland, this beautiful land is calling for us, not just to tell her stories, but to remember her truth. She is a land of sheer enchantments. So I kind of just want to say that and let that wash over you. And that's really just something that you are invited into. So it doesn't matter wherever you hail from in the world, because Ireland wants to bring her magic to you here right now today. So to do that, that's really what the Tuatha and like that's what they're wanting to bring through. And so I'm just going to read, I think maybe like 2 paragraphs, because I know no one wants to sit and listen to a very old text, but I do want to share. So if anyone ever goes to the west of Ireland, you'll see Lady Gregory. She was a very wealthy woman. She loved literature. She was a patron of the arts. And W.B. Yeats, writing all about fairies, he would have kind of been down on his luck, but instead, Lady Gregory, took him in. And you can go. I've been here. This is one of the highlights of my life. There is a place, it's called Yeats Tower, and it literally is essentially, it's a very thin castle, and it's like stairs, and the stairs that spiral all the way to the top. And Lady Gregory very graciously gave this to W.B. Yeats to do all of his writing. And she admired him so much, but she didn't think that she was much of a writer in her own right. She thought that Yeats was so good and she was just okay. But Lady Gregory brought to the world a lot of sacred mythology, most of it which was previously only in Gaelic, most of it had never been translated before. And so when Lady Gregory came out with this book, Gods and Fighting Men, this was, I think it was actually the first time there was a translation of these ancient stories. And I really want to honor her for that. So anyway, just giving you some context for what I'm reading, and just really honoring Lady Gregory for bringing these stories, because otherwise, they would have been very much lost to only those who spoke the traditional Irish language. She really brought them to the modern world. So really wanting to honor her for that. And just like I promised, I'm only going to read like 2 paragraphs. But this is about the coming of the Tuatha Danann to Ireland. And I could tell the story myself, but no one renders it with such beauty as she. So I just want to open with these 2 paragraphs here from her book. So here we go. It was in a mist. The Tuatha Danann, the people of the gods of Dana, or as some called them, the men of Dea, came through the air and the high sea to Ireland. It was from the north they came, and in the place they came from, they had 4 cities, where they fought their battles for learning, great Phalios and shining Gorius, Phineas and rich Murius that lay to the south. And in those cities they had 4 wise men to teach their young men skill and knowledge and perfect wisdom, Senius and Morius and Arius, the fair-haired poet in Phineas, and Aureus of the noble nature in Gorius, and Morius and Phalios itself. And they brought from those 4 cities their 4 treasures, a stone of virtue from Phalios, that was called the Leafal, the stone of destiny. And from Gorius they brought a sword, and from Phineas a spear of victory, and from Murius the fourth treasure, the cauldron that no company ever went away from unsatisfied. And so I don't even think that was a full paragraph, but I wanted to open with that because that cauldron that we just introduced right there, that is Dagda's cauldron. That's what we're going to be going more deeply into today. And so Dagda has many magical objects that he wields. One, he has a magical rod, and this rod is very magical because one end of the rod can kill a man, and the other can restore a man to life. So I think that's really interesting. So he has this magic rod that wields the power of life and death. So that's really interesting. Dagda also has an enchanted harp, which I mentioned yesterday. And so this harp plays not just one, but three kinds of very special music. So the first kind of music, the song of mirth, and all who hear this great song, they laugh. They feel such warmth and joy in their hearts. And then there is the second. There is the song of sorrow, the song of sadness. And when men hear this, be they men or gods, all start to weep, for they feel the sorrow of ages upon them. Last, but certainly not least, there is the song of sleep. And all of those who listen to this, no matter how long they have been waiting, how much energy is flooding their veins, how excited they are to greet the morning. Nevertheless, when they hear Dagda's song of sleep, they fall into the most beautiful and glorious slumber. So that is another one of the enchanted objects that belongs to the Dagda, his enchanted harp. But of course, the most famous of all would be the Dagda's cauldron. And so this is a cauldron of plenty. And I really love this because there are different cauldrons throughout the lore. For example, you'll see in Welsh mythology, actually, there are two cauldrons in Welsh mythology. We have cauldrons of inspiration. That's from the goddess Ceridwen. Those of you who know that I love the bardic legend of Taliesin, that's very much connected to the cauldron of inspiration. But there's also another story in the Mabinogi. There's a cauldron that belongs to Bran and Bronwyn, and this is a cauldron that restores the dead to life. So we see a lot of magical cauldrons in ancient myth. However, there is none quite like the Dagda. So what makes his so extraordinary is that this is the primal nourishment of creation. It is a cauldron that it doesn't matter, however much you take from it, there is always more. And I love this so much because to me, this speaks to the true nature of the universe. We're living in a time where many people are under the spell. I'm calling it a spell. Of lack and scarcity, believing there is not enough. And when we connect with Dagda's cauldron, we are connected to this higher cosmic law which states, there is nothing but an infinite abundance of resources, an infinite amount of nourishment that is available to us at all times if we know how to seek it. And in this case, the sense I'm getting is it's a message that Dagda really wanted to bring through is this idea of worthiness. And part of really breaking this spell, first you have to really believe that the universe is this place of infinite nourishment, and believe there's some re-scripting that the Dagda is inviting us into. And so a lot of what we've been led to believe in our modern society is sometimes that life is not kind, or that life is unfair, or that there's never enough. And the Dagda wants us to completely get rid of this. He wants us to throw this out. And this is the Dagda. And he is also, I haven't described his physical appearance, but he is very large. He is very big and very large. He's larger than life. He's almost like, they describe him as almost being a giant in proportion. And so when Dagda wants to throw something out, it is a very big, very grand gesture. And so I just want to say, So Dagda wants us to throw out this idea that life is unfair, that life is even perhaps cruel. And instead, we're replacing this with this energy. Life is kind. Life is giving. Life is abundant. Life is sweet. And when you start to live from this place, that's when you can really open to receive the nourishment of the Dagda. And kind of the sense I'm getting from him is he is standing here with this bag, this beautiful cauldron of epic nourishment. This is physical nourishment, what you need in your physical 3D life, but also it is nourishment of the soul. And another thing about Dagda, Dagda, besides having these magical objects and being a being of great magic, he is also a warrior. And as you can imagine from the story with the harp, he's also a poet. He's a poet and he's a musician. And so when I think of that, like what is significant here, think about when we listen to a beautiful song or we hear a great story. What really, really, comes through for me is that is the nourishment that we need on a soul level. That is nourishment on a primal level. So yes, we may need food, we may need drink, but we also, like the things we stay alive for, we stay alive for the magic of stories. We stay alive for relationships that nourish us. So it's really like this invitation for everyone here today. When you connect with the Dagda, really ask yourself, what nourishes you on the deepest level of your being? How do you feel most nourished? Where are you wanting more nourishment? And just really open to this understanding that life is wanting to bring it to you. And yesterday we talked, we were connecting more with Queen Maeve, and she had that beautiful energy of, wanting you to open and let life enchant you. But really what Dagda is inviting you into is this understanding that life is kind. Life is kind, life is nourishing. And anything that doesn't hold to that, or we drew the card, the birch card earlier, and this is about releasing anything that doesn't align with that new beginning. Just let that go, set that free. So we have, of course, we have a beautiful activation with the Dagda, but I wanted to also introduce just a little bit more about him. And I'm trying to see, I have a book. I always have a book somewhere. um, so one thing here, this is actually a beautiful book. It's by Morgan Dalmer, book on the Dagda. And here I just want to talk about his names because he has many, many names. And I'm trying to, like, there are so many names, I may not be able to read them all. But for example, we have one that is Great Warrior of the Belly, God of Power, another name that means regeneration of the world. He's also known, it's like the great. So I should say, this is really where he gets the name Dagda. So that means the good God. For those of you who don't know, the reason that he's called that is because there was a great battle and everyone volunteered what they would do. One said, I will get my arrows. One said, I will get my swords. One said, I will provide provision. And people turned to the Dagda and they said, what, what will you do? And he said, I will do all of those things. What everyone has here named, I will do them all. And at this moment, they turn, all the beings, they turn to him and they say, oh my goodness, you are the good God. You are the Dagda. And that's where he gets his name. That's why he is known as the good God, because he is the one who can do all things. And so you're really seeing that Dagda when you connect with him. Like I said, he is really gigantic in stature. And he's also, I really see him as a father of Ireland. In different stories, at one point, he becomes like the king of the Tuatha Danann. There are different kings of Tuatha Danann that are in power at different times. Dagda, I believe, is in power for about 80 years. And in this time, I mean, there's so many different wars that happen between, it's like the Tuatha Danann and there's a group of people called the Fomorians. And at the end of the day, we all know this part of the story, the Tuatha Danann get driven underground. And it's interesting because the Dagda is the one that gets to be in charge. So the Tuatha Danann, they go to the She. They go to the fairy mounds. And Dagda is the one put in charge of who gets to go where. So it's interesting because he even to the invaders, even to the Fomorians, he is given a place of immense respect. So I'm just wanting you to understand that he really he holds such power as a chieftain, but also really as I see him as the father in many ways of Ireland. And that's why he is portrayed as larger than life. And another thing that he really invites us into, this is a message that was really coming through because yesterday we talked a lot about destiny. And so really, Dagda invites you to claim more for yourself, to claim like a very big destiny, to claim a big life, to be larger than life, to take up space. And it's interesting because I'm going to share in a moment about another member of the Tuatha Danann. This is the god Lugh, and I want to share a connection between Dagda and Lugh before I tell you more about Lugh himself. And this is that I've noticed the Tuatha Danann are really good at a lot of different things. They seem to they are Renaissance gods. They seem to be good at all different things across the board. And in today's world, we're always trying to put people in boxes. Oh, you're good at pottery, so you must be a potter. Oh, you're good at writing, you must be a writer. And the Tuatha Danann, they excel in so many ways, so many shapes and forms. And part of the invitation they have for you to step into your true destiny is to claim all the different parts of yourself, even the parts that you may say, oh, I have that gift but I don't really use it, or I have that gift but it's not really a big deal. The Tuatha Danann are inviting you to claim and step into your ultimate destiny by fully owning all parts of yourself, giving your soul permission to shine, for every single part of you to come online and shine in equal measure. And so I want to just share, let's see, oh, which book? Now I'm got to go back and forth between my books. I just want to read, this might be a little bit more lengthy. But this is going to be I promise, this is the last thing I'm reading. That's not mine. And this is again, Lady Gregory, Gods and Fighting Men. And this is about the god Lugh. And so I want you to know that in our guided journey that we're going to go on in a little bit, we're going to meet both Dagda and Lugh. So that's why I have to introduce them together. We're also going to meet Ogma, who I'll share a little bit about in a second. But first, I want to introduce you to Lugh, and he is master craftsman. And I just really love this story of him. So in this story, I'm just going to give you some context. He goes to find, he kind of wants to have work. And so he's going to like a neighboring kingdom to be like, okay, can you take me on? Can I be part of this? And it seems like, actually, no, we have everything that Lugh says he's good at. They're like, no, we already have someone who can do that. No, we already have someone who can do that. But at the end, Lugh asks, do you have someone who can do all those things? And the king is speechless because he does not. So I'm just going to read this again. It's about 2 paragraphs, but it gives you a sense of the multiplicity of skills that these gods are possessing. And I think that's something that we can all really aspire to and lean into. So let me just open here. I want to start here. Again, this is Gods and Fighting Men by Lady Gregory. And this is called The Coming of Lugh. And it starts when Tuatha is actually the king of the Tuatha Danann. And he is actually one of the people who holds, he also has one of the 4 treasures. So let me just share this little bit with you. And I know some of this writing is a little old, but just bear with me. And if any of it doesn't resonate, just let it wash over you. Feel the frequency, feel the transmission of energy. So here we go. Now as to Tuatha of the silver hand, he was working a great feast after he was back in his kingship. And there were 2 doorkeepers there. And a young man came to the door where one of them was and bade him bring him to the king. Who are you? Said the doorkeeper. I am Lugh, son of Sian of the Tuatha Danann, he said, and I am here I am here to find work for myself. What are you skilled in? Said the doorkeeper. For no one without an art comes into this kingdom. Question me, said Lugh. I am a carpenter. To which the man replies, we do not want you. We have a carpenter ourselves. Lugh, son of Lued. Then I am a smith, Lugh says. We have a smith ourselves. And then at that moment, Lugh, not knowing what else to say, says, then I am a champion. That is no use to us. We have a champion before, Ogma, brother to the king. Question me again, says Lugh. He says, I am a harper. That is no use to us. We have a harper. I am a poet then, he says, and a teller of tales. That is no use to us. We have a teller of tales ourselves. Finally, at last, Lugh says, I am a magician. To which the doormen reply, that is no use to us. We have plenty of magicians and people of power. Let me be a cupbearer then, Lugh says. And then the people reply, we do not want you. We have 9 cupbearers ourselves. Then Lugh at last says, go and ask the king if he has any one man that can do all these things. And if he has, I will not come into your kingdom, I swear. The doorkeeper went to the king's house then and told him all that. There is a young man at the door, he said. He says that he should be the master of arts. For all the things that the people of your house can do, he himself is able to do every one of them. Try him with the chessboards, said King Tuatha. So the chessboards were brought out, and every game that was played, Lugh won it. So at that moment, Tuatha told him, let him in, for the like of him has never come into my kingdom before. So I just wanted to read that, I promise. I know that I actually cut out, it was one of those old texts where there was like 5,000 names. I was like, oh no, if I read this, everyone's gonna get lost. But no, you guys see the story, and I'm sharing that with you because I want to connect this to this idea of claiming all of who you are. Because some people, I know people who are writers and acupuncturists, and they do all different kinds of things, and it's united within them. And so I'm just sharing this because I think that so often we're told we have to just be one thing. And part of claiming your destiny is bringing all the different parts of you online. And what's kind of coming through is I think there are several people maybe listening to this who think, oh, I used to be this, or I used to do that like 10 or 20 years ago. And we think of life as linear, but it's really not. Life is happening on a continuum. So even if you haven't done something for 10 or 20 years, it's still in you. It's still in you. And so really this invitation from Dagda is to be larger than life, is to claim it all. So without further ado, I kind of want to, I had some more messages that wanted to come through from Dagda, but I want to just first share an actual story because I know that's why everyone is here. And we're also gonna do the activation. I promise the story is not that long, but let me just take a sip of water. Oh, and I realized for the story to make sense, you also have to know the other god. There are 3 gods in this story. One is Ogma, and Ogma is a god of language and eloquence. And that was part of the reason that we started today with me sharing, I believe it's here. Well, I think this is the wrong color. I think this is the wrong card, but you see, we opened today with the birch tree. And the reason I shared that is because when we look at the ancient, Irish writing, hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, but it's the Ogham. So it's the system of writing they created around the trees. And it was actually the god Ogma that's responsible for creating this system. And so I remember there was a time about a year ago that I was getting ready. I was putting something together online and I was like nervous about my presentation. And all of a sudden, Ogma came to me. I never worked with him before, and is like, I will be with you. Because I remember I was nervous, like, what if my words, what if they don't come out? Like, what if I just sound like because sometimes like you guys are used to me talking, but I remember this was kind of more in the beginning of my journey. And Ogma was like, I will be with you. You will have eloquence, you'll have poise. The words will work magic with you. And so that really is what Ogma invites everyone into. It's like to really trust yourself, to really trust the power of your voice, the power of your words, to be moved by the power of language. And so I'm sharing that because it's important for you to know all of the main figures in the story I'm going to tell. And so this is a fun story that I like to tell with Dagda's harp, and it's not very long, but I think it's actually my favorite story. Okay. So once upon a time, there was a great battle that was occurring between the Tuatha Danann and the Fomorians. And Dagda, the great warrior, he had his harp. And so it was a superstition among the Dagda that he could not go into battle without his harp, for he would play. He would play to announce the coming of the great battle. And his playing would inspire the Tuatha Danann to fight so bravely, so swiftly. And yet, on this day, something happened he did not expect. For the magical harp, the enchanted harp of Dagda, was stolen by the Fomorians. And it was not until the end of the battle that the Dagda realized this. Suddenly the battle drew to a close, and he said, "Where is my harp? Where has it gone? What has happened?" For he went to go play a great song of victory. For the Tuatha Danann had actually defeated the Fomorians, and they had gone running. But in their anger, in their haste, as they ran, the Fomorians had taken Dagda's harp. And they thought to themselves, we have stolen the enchanted harp of the great Dagda, and he knows not what we have done. And so they stole away with the harp. And when at last it came for everyone to celebrate, Dagda, the good god, who was always in such mirth and high spirits, he could not celebrate with them. For he says, "I know not what has happened to my harp. I am not myself without it." And it was Lugh and Ogma who said, "We will go with you. We promise to help you find this harp, wheresoever it may be." And so they walked through the great hills of Ireland, and so they walked until at last they came upon, there's a small band of Fomorians, and as they saw the Dagda coming, they ran with great haste. And Dagda saw in their faces something telling, something mysterious. He ran to the Fomorians and he shook them. "Have you seen my harp?" he said. And all at once, cowering in the face of the mighty Dagda, he who was a giant of epic proportion, he who was larger than life, when the Fomorians confessed that it had been taken, and it was actually in the possession of a great warrior, the greatest of them all, down the road at an inn far, far away, it had been taken. The Dagda released the man. The Fomorians ran on their way, and Dagda, Lugh, and Ogma looked at each other. They knew that wherever they went, there would be a whole host of Fomorians waiting, and it was just the three of them. It's as if they were walking into a great trap. Ogma turned and said, "We have been victorious once this day. Perhaps we should not tempt fate and try again when it's just the three of us." "I will have my harp," the Dagda said. Lugh turned to him. "Perhaps it is not wise. Perhaps we should go back and find others to help us." "I will have my harp," the Dagda said. "You can come with me or not, but have it I shall." And with that, Lugh and Ogma turned to each other. And in a true gesture of love and solidarity for Dagda, the good god, they said, "Aye, we will go with you." And they walked and they followed the Dagda all the way through the great valleys, through the woods, to the Fomorian stronghold where they were waiting. They waited till the cover of night and slowly crept into the stronghold. And there they saw, beside that great warrior, the Dagda's harp had been perched on the wall, hanging on the wall. And there is something very special about this harp, for it responded to Dagda's touch and his alone, and he could summon the harp to him by simply raising his hand. So he gets in, he raises his hand, and all of a sudden the harp comes to him. All at once, the Fomorians wake up, and there are hundreds of them in the stronghold. They go and they get their weapons, their bows, their swords, their arrows. They are ready to fight the Dagda. Dagda, Ogma, and Lugh stand surrounded, but the Dagda does not fear. He takes out his harp and he plays the song of mirth. And all around him, there is such happiness, there is such joy, there is such laughter. So they have never laughed so hard in all of their life. And the Dagda continues to play the music and play the music. And slowly they walk back in the direction of the door from which they came. But the second the Dagda stops playing the music, the Fomorians rise up again with their weapons, with their swords, with their bow and arrow. And they go after the Dagda, and the three of them are surrounded yet again. The Dagda now plays the song of sorrow with his magic harp. And at this moment, oh, the weeping, such weeping you have never seen before. For all around him, grown men were brought to tears, brought to their knees. They remembered the sorrow of ages, the sorrow that lived in their blood from their ancestors suddenly was theirs. They wept. They remembered things they had not thought of for decades. Some of them, they sat on the ground, almost unable to move, for the sorrow that consumed them was so great. At this moment, the Dagda said, "Shh, let us go." And little by little, Ogma, Lugh, and Dagda started to creep to the door. But when they did this, the second they stopped playing the harp, the Fomorians sprang up again and they forgot the sorrow that had been theirs only moments before. More than that, they were enraged to have felt such great sorrow. Dagda, they said, we will have your harp and you will not leave here alive. And Dagda at last knew what must be done. He took out the harp and with one great smile on his face, one of great warmth and one of the magic of music incarnate within him, he suddenly played the song of sleep, the last and final song. And as he played this last and final song, all the Fomorians, hundreds of them that there were, they fell into the most peaceful and beautiful sleep. Some of them snoring happily, some of them going to their knees, falling asleep on their weapons. And all around them, there was peace. This is a moment Dagda, Ogma, and Lugh could have used the situation to their advantage, but instead, they saw it as a boon that the harp was theirs at last. And in this great moment of peace and the beauty of music itself, they left with the harp. They continued on their way, and none from that day forward ever dared to steal the harp of the Dagda again. So I love this story. I just think it's a very beautiful story about the power of music, camaraderie, and just everyone standing together. So I think this is very beautiful. And I hope you guys enjoyed that story. I said I think it is my favorite. I think it's my favorite story of the Dagda. I also have one I like to tell with him and the Morrigan, but it's different. It's more of a romantic story. But before, I know we have an activation I wanted to do with the Dagda and Lugh and Ogma, so that's why I had to tell the story first. But before we go into that, would anyone like to write in the chat what came up for them as the story was being told, or just anything that's coming up as we talk about these larger than life figures? And if not, no worries, we can move right into the activation. Don't worry, I'm all excited for activation today. It's going to be pretty epic. But I see, I think there's some people writing in the chat, so I will let that happen. And as people are writing in the chat, I think I'm just getting called to open us into sacred space because I wanted this to be. Oh, Pangia, I love this. The truly great person does not choose violence. Yeah, that's why I love the ending. It's like they're just like, oh, we technically have them all asleep, but let's just go. It's like we have the harp. Let's just go. I love that, Pangia. Thank you for bringing that into the space. That warms my heart, that reflection. And Ram, let's see. The mist they came from, I believe, are the children of the Danube. Oh, seeking refuge from the Korean invasions. That's very interesting. I would love to know more about that, Ram, if you want to put that in the chat. And so, Noah, let me see. As a female, it's very healing to hear stories of strong male warriors. It complements our true feminine gifts. The world could use more. Yes, thank you. I love that, Noah. Thank you. I know this is the whole thing is I feel like this is the divine masculine day. We couldn't have done this Ireland extravaganza without honoring the divine masculine. And these men, they are divine. And I love this because they also bring in especially like the gift of music and storytelling and the harp. It really is very much a balance of masculine and feminine. One thing I really do love, this kind of brings up, like, I just love Noah bringing up this point. So when we look at the four treasures of the Irish gods and goddesses, the Tuatha Danann, so there are actually two weapons. So there is the spear of Lugh. So actually, Lugh, who we just met, he's got one of the treasures, and his spear is one of victory. So he has a spear of victory, and none who come up against this spear can be victorious. And there is also, let's see, I see people writing in the chat. Hopefully, I think my video might be breaking up a little bit, but I'm just going to trust that everyone's receiving. You can all hear me. It's all good. But I just want to say another one of the treasures is there is Nuada's sword. And so same thing. Anyone who comes up against the sword, like no one can defeat the sword. So two of the treasures, they are weapons. They are protection. They are truly protection for the Tuatha Danann. And then we have the Leafal, the Stone of Destiny, which doesn't really belong to any one person, but belongs to all of Ireland. The only treasure, that really is not it's not masculine in nature is Dagda's cauldron. And I think it's very interesting because when I think of Dagda's cauldron, it's a cauldron of plenty, it's a cauldron of abundance and nourishment. I think of the cauldron right now, I'm feeling it is very similar to like a womb space. So it's very interesting because it's this kind of feminine quality of just really nourishing and giving. And that's why I think Dagda is really, some people consider him like the All Father, very similar in some respects to Odin. So when you really want to do great healing with that father energy, Dagda is someone, he is a great father. I see him as father of Ireland. He wants to nourish you. Fundamental, he wants to provide and take care of you. And so I love that so much for Dagda because I think that's what makes him such a special deity, such a special God to connect with. So let me just see. Oh, Monica, thank you for saying my enthusiasm and skill as storyteller helps you. Oh, thank you. Yes, I love that story. I love that story. So anyway, we're going to move into the activation now because I know that I said this would only be an hour, but we might be going a little bit over. If anyone has to leave, feel free. But I want to do this activation because like Dagda is calling for it. He's definitely calling for this. Okay, so I'm just going to cast our sacred circle and then we will do this. And so I'm just going to give you guys a heads up. We'll be connecting once more with Dagda's heart. Okay, so I cast this circle to create a space beyond space and time beyond time. I cast the circle to block out all energies that are not allies of ours. I cast the circle that all energies raised here and remain confined. As above, so below, as within, so without, the circle is sealed. I'm into the sacred space. I call upon the elements, earth, air, water, fire. I call upon the directions, north, south, east, west, above, below, and within. And I invite humbly into this space all the Tuatha Danann to be here with us, the land of Eru herself, Ireland herself, be here with us. I also call upon specifically the great Dagda, great father, chieftain, be here with us. Bring warmth to our bellies, bring nourishment, bring laughter, bring the mirth of ages, bring your music, bring your cauldron. We are here to receive you, great Dagda. I also invite in Lugh, master craftsman, and Ogma, great God of storytelling and eloquence, be here with us. Creator of Ogham, be here with us. And today we're really calling in further activations for everyone here of destiny and enchantment. We're also really calling in the nourishment they need. This could be physical nourishment, something they need in their physical circumstances. This could be resources. This could be abundance in any form that it is required. This could be material wealth. This could be an abundance of love that people are seeking. This could be an abundance of joy, an abundance of opportunity. We're calling in the abundance of Dagda's cauldron, and we're also calling in the nature of happiness itself. Truly, the intention for today is to bring everyone into the mirth of Dagda's cauldron. The mirth, I should say, of Dagda's harp, Dagda's sacred soul song. But I think that the cauldron has plenty of mirth too. So I'm also just calling in any of the beautiful team, any of the gods or goddesses that you work with in your own spirit teams. Feel free to invite them into this space. We call upon the highest of the high, making it clear that only the highest is welcome in this space. And I just feel the energy of Eru, Ireland herself. I feel her energy so alive in this space. We also call in Queen Maeve, be here with us. Queen Maeve, be here with us. And just really calling in, feeling fairy energy, leprechaun energy. We are calling the ancient ways of Ireland. We are calling in the ancient fairy beings, those who walked the earth thousands of years ago. Be here with us as we go on this sacred pilgrimage, this journey today with Dagda and the other gods of the Tuatha Danann for a deep reclamation of happiness. And another thing I want to share is when we connect more with Lugh, part of your stepping into destiny, he is the master, craftsman. He's amazing at so many things. So there's going to be a skill, something that you might have had in a previous lifetime, something, maybe that was from earlier in this lifetime. And really, he's going to help you bring it back online. So just so you know, that's also going to be part of the activation. So I'm just inviting everyone to close your eyes, take a couple deep breaths, and feel yourself transported through time and space. And all of a sudden, you come upon a beautiful part of the woods. The sun is shining down above you. You feel a soft, gentle breeze. And in the air, there is something, an enchantment, a magic. You can't quite describe, and yet you feel it so palpable, so strong. It's leading you deeper and deeper into the woods. And there in the woods, you come upon a great being playing his harp, a beautiful, magnificent harp. And this being you see, he is large beyond compare. This gigantic being, and yet the clothes he wears are noble. He plays this harp, mirth, such joy. And then he sees you approaching, and he looks at you with eyes of such warmth and kindness that you are almost startled to see eyes of such love like this. You approach him slowly, evenly, part of you not wanting to make a sound. And yet, as the harp plays, you hear the song of birds all around you. It's almost like the song of the birds adds the song of the harp. The grace and beauty of this place is beyond compare. And as Dagda sees you, trying so hard not to make a sound. He laughs, a laugh so warm it almost feels like the bellows of a great fire. And as you go closer to him, he stops playing the harp. He takes you in from head to toe. And in this moment, feel free to introduce yourself to this great and glorious God. He has been watching you this whole day, excited and eager to make your acquaintance. But here in this moment, this is a moment of sacred intimacy. Make his acquaintance, greet him. Beautiful. And just feel the laughter, the joy that bellows from the Dagda as he sits there with you. He is so happy you have come. See if there are any words, anything that he wants to share, what he would like to say to you right now. Beautiful. And now he actually decides you are ready. He wants you to play his magical harp. As you take the harp from him, take a moment to look at it, to feel the beautiful strings. Perhaps they look golden. Perhaps the wood of the harp is exquisite, looks ancient even. Take a moment to really see this harp, to feel the sacredness, the beauty of it as you take it into your hands. You may think, I have never played before. I don't know if I'll be any good. The Dagda just smiles at you and says, all you have to do is start. Start, and the harp will do the rest. You take the harp slowly into your hands, and your fingers start to melt. They move without you even commanding them to. Your fingers suddenly move into this beautiful song of love. They start to play this beautiful song with just the softest touch of your hands, the song of happiness, the song of joy. And feel this now. Feel it moving from the harp into your fingers, coursing through your body. Feel it coursing through the glen, the song of great joy. Now, Dagda says, this song of joy, this is what I wish for you more than anything. But perhaps there is something standing in your way. To find out, let us first play the song of sadness. And without thinking, your fingers suddenly form a new formation. You play another song. This is the song of sorrow that suddenly you realize you too know how to play. And Dagda asked this question, what in your heart, what in your life is holding you back? What is still causing you grief or sadness? Is there something from the past you are ready to release, ready to let go of? Play the music of sadness and do not fight the feeling. Feel it and let any answers that are ready to come forth, let them come. You are safe here, he says. And in this moment, just fully open to anything that your heart, that your soul wants to reveal to you. And now at last, Dagda says, it is time to play the music of sleep. And as you do, your fingers move in a strange but beautiful formation. And you play the song of sleep, yet you are not tired, for in this moment you are shown a vision of your dreams. Your dreams suddenly appear before you. Perhaps there is something unconscious that is breaking through and wanting to be known. Open now as you play this song of sleep. Open to your dreams themselves. See if there is a symbol. See if there is some kind of message that wants to come through. A vision, something from your soul directly for you to see. And all of a sudden, as you're playing this song, there's a great whoosh, and a great stairwell suddenly appears in the middle of this glen. It leads to an ancient Irish steeple. Come with me, the Dagda says. I want to help you feel the notes of the song you first played. And he takes the harp, and once more you feel the song of mirth. And as you listen to the song of mirth, you are tuning to this energy, attuning to this new reality. You get to choose happiness, the Dagda says. You get to choose it. You get to have this. Come with me, he says. And as you follow the Dagda, you feel this fatherly presence of such love. And this energy of safety takes over your whole entire body. You see this beautiful stairwell leading up to a door that leads to an ancient Irish steeple. Walk with me, step by step, he says. You take the Dagda's hand. It is so huge and large in comparison to yours. Yours almost feels like a thimble in comparison to this great hand. He feels like a magnificent oak tree. And yet, you take his hand. You feel so safe. And for a moment, you two stand at the first step to this steeple. And here on this stairwell is coated. This one stair, this bottom stair is coated in the energy of complete safety. Take a moment to really feel safe and secure, held in this moment. Really feel the safety course through your body. Are you ready to go to the next stair? The Dagda says. Yes, you say. You get onto the next step. This next step is gentle happiness, soft happiness. Feel as you step up that as you step into this gentle happiness, the safety is still there. Really feel this now coursing through you, this gentle happiness. And you look up the stairs, and the door of this Irish steeple is there, looking so inviting. It's almost surrounded by this beautiful golden light. Part of you wants to rush up the stairs and get to the door of this ancient Irish steeple. And yet you know it is best to take your time with Dagda and go slowly. Really take your time on the stair of gentle happiness. Are you ready to go to the next step? The Dagda says. And if you are ready, take his hand and slowly go up to the third stair. Feel as you land on this third stair, this is splendid happiness, exquisite happiness. Feel this coursing through you now. Feel yourself attuning to this energy. And as you go up each of these steps, suddenly you feel that each of these steps was one of the notes you played on the harp when you played the song of mirth and happiness. The Dagda leads you up the other stairs slowly. The step of ecstatic joy. Feel that coursing through you. The step of rapture, really open to this. And as you feel this rapture, the door of the steeple is surrounded by even more light. At last, the Dagda says, it is time. You are ready. Open fully to this experience of happiness. This is yours for the taking. This is yours to claim. Open the door to claim your happiness. All of a sudden, you open the door to this ancient steeple. All around you, you see stones that are thousands of years old. There are spirals carved in the stone. And as you enter into this sacred space, this holy temple, you hear the music of Dagda's harp playing all around you. This is a place of destiny and enchantment, true happiness, the magic of ages, the magic of Ireland's past, the magic that is in your heart waiting to be restored, waiting to be remembered, the magic that is here for you right now. And here in this sacred, ancient Irish steeple, with the Dagda there beside you, open fully to experience perhaps a vision of your destiny, perhaps words of wisdom from your soul itself, all the while hearing the song of mirth, the song of the truest happiness, your soul's true happiness coursing through the air. Feel rapture on the breeze and great enchantment. And now here, see if Dagda has more wisdom for you. Receive the Dagda's wisdom. And now here in the space, Dagda reveals something you did not know he had on his person. But then again, the Dagda is large and has many things with him. All of a sudden you see him take from his garments a mighty cauldron. This is one of the 4 treasures of the Tuatha Danann. This is sacred. Open now to see this cauldron there before you. And as you behold it, you feel the holiness, the sacredness of this sacred treasure, this holy object. Look inside the cauldron. What do you see? Perhaps you see soup. Perhaps you see porridge. Perhaps you see something more ethereal. Whatever this is the nourishment your soul has been calling for. This is the nourishment your physical body has been calling for. Dagda takes a beautiful bowl made of gold. He dips it into the cauldron and hands it to you. See this bowl fill up. And as you take a bite, really feel this nourishment on your lips. Feel your body taking in this nourishment, your soul taking in this nourishment. And in this moment, you can have as much as you need. Perhaps you are hungry for love. Perhaps you are hungry, whatever you are hungry for. This is the moment to feel that hunger, not to be afraid of it, but to own it. And know that here in this moment, you are being met. The Dagda is here and everything that you need is being provided. Take as much as you need from this cauldron, open to receive this divine nourishment. And here in this space, we call in a great blessing from all the Tuatha Danann, all who are here present with us. And we call upon a great blessing for your life, that you may be nourished, that you may be provided for, that there is plenty and abundance everywhere you go. And you can feel this great blessing coming from all the Tuatha Danann. There's a rush of beautiful golden wind. Feel yourself held in this beautiful wind. This is the wind of provision, the wind of nourishment. You are held by the divine. You have always been held by the divine. I invite you to take one last bowl of food from the Dagda's cauldron and really feel yourself nourished, the spiritual nourishment. Really feel yourself full and satiated. The Dagda is always a very full man. And here in this moment, he invites you to feel that same sense of fullness, being full of life. And now, all of a sudden, someone else comes into this beautiful steeple. You see the goddess Lugh and the goddess Ogma. Ogma, the great storyteller, and Lugh, the master craftsman who is there with his sword of victory. And these two have gifts for you. Lugh says, I bring through a special transmission now that you may step into your own victory, whatever skill in this lifetime or another that you need to achieve victory. Perhaps it's a skill that you have forgotten, a skill that you might not even know that you have. Here in this moment, I call upon the magic of ages, the magic that was there at the dawn of time, the magic that is Ireland herself. And Lugh says, I bring this skill to you now. And he takes your hands, and you may see him there before you. There's an ornate clothing around his person, and you see his hands. There is almost calluses on them, for he is often working all different crafts. And as he takes your hands in his, there is a transmission of white light. And you may see a flash of color as you suddenly see the skill that you are honing, the skill that is coming back to you, the skill that is being sharpened, the skill that is coming fully available and online for you right now. It is open to receive this transmission from Lugh. Look into his eyes and feel your worthiness. Feel how good you are at so many things in your life right now, today. Know that you have great skill. You possess great skill. Own this fully. For that is Lugh's gift, to own all that you are already amazing at, and to know there is always more, that you can be even more amazing every day, but not to forget how amazing you already are. And you are invited in this moment to think of all of the skills that you have mastered, and to truly take a moment to honor yourself, honor all that you are. And if there are any parts of you that need to come online for you to achieve your destiny, Lugh brings through this transmission now. See this white light coursing from him. He's bringing through the skills that you need right now, for they are always within you. They have always been there, waiting to awaken, waiting for this moment, waiting for you to claim them. Open to receive and allow that now. And lastly, you see the god Ogma turn to you. He is very scholarly, and he has a long cloak, and there are books in his arm. And you may see him with the great white beard, or perhaps you see him with the warrior staff. However he appears to you is perfect, for Ogma is also a great warrior. And here in this moment, the Dagda steps aside, Lugh steps aside, and it's just you and Ogma. And as he looks at you, it's almost like you see the alphabet. It's almost like in the back of your eyes, you see all different letters moving and forming. It's as if you see the creation of language itself. And as Lugh comes closer to you, as Ogma comes closer to you, open now to receive Ogma's wisdom. He has words of wisdom to share with you. Know that Ogma is a being of immense wisdom, and the wisdom he has is for you and you alone. And now, today, receive a final gift. Ogma brings through an activation for the power of your voice. There's also wisdom codes he brings through, and the energy of scholarship. When he raises his hands, all of a sudden, the books that were in his hands fall to the floor. The wind whips them around the sacred place. It's almost as if all of the wisdom of these books, all of the letters light up. The letters move through the air and you see them lit. The letters circle around you. There's this dance of language and story. All of the power that went into crafting those words. You feel all of these letters merge with you, becoming one with you. Open to receive this sacred activation of language and voice, the sacred activation of true power. Here in this moment, open to receive the magic of language. Remember that your words are magical. Every word that you utter, every second of every day, henceforth, let it be imbued with the highest magic, the highest wisdom. And now Ogma has one final piece of wisdom for you. He says, I am the creator of Ogham. And today's tree, the energy that came forth was one of birch, meaning new beginnings. What new beginning are you seeking? Take a moment to really answer this question. And as you're answering this question, the three gods move around you, all three of them offering up their hands, and just receive one final transmission for all that you need to step into this new beginning. We're also calling in the energy of the birch tree itself. And all of a sudden you see this beautiful birch tree forming up from the ground, from a tiny little sapling up to a great big tree. And just receive this transmission, the energy of birch and new beginnings, and receive the medicine, the magic of Dagda, Ogma, and Lugh as they bring through all the energy you need to step into the next chapter of your life. We also call upon a sacred blessing of magic and enchantment and destiny from all the Tuatha Danann who are overlighting our sacred container. We're overlighting the sacred activation on this holy day that we are gathered here together. Just take this all in, breathe in this energy. And now feel yourself transported back through time and space. The room where you first began today's mythic journey. You might want to move your feet against the floor, rub your palms together, really come back into this holy sacred space, into this now moment. And just really breathe in. Really breathe in. And another thing that came through, I forgot to put this in the activation, but I really feel that Dagda, it's, the food of life. He really brings through, it's like this primal nourishment. And one of the first things that we do when we come into human form, there are two things that we do. The first thing is like we breathe in. When we're a baby, we first breathe in the breath of life, and then we find the food of life. And so here in this moment, I just want to invite everyone to take a breath in, and as you breathe in, just really kind of consciously breathe in the breath of life itself. Life as a force of great nourishment. Really feel nourished by the air itself. And we thank Dagda for giving us the food of life, the nourishment of this divine place that we call home. So I just wanted to check in, see how that was for everyone. Hopefully that was, deeply, I don't know even what to say. I hope that it was transformational, but I also feel that with these activations, sometimes it comes like a little bit later. You'll see there'll be something that kind of drops in. And so it's not always the wisdom. It's not the wisdom always comes through, but it might not be in the activation. It might come through a bit later. So let me just see in the chat. Oh, okay. I'm glad, Kelsang, I'm glad that you thought it was beautiful. And Annabelle, you thought it was insightful. Thank you. And yes, I'm so glad. So I hope, I mean, it's so funny. I think my computer is so excited, or my soul is so excited. My technology is barely, it's like, I feel like my computer might not be working as well here today, but hopefully, even if the picture went out for like a little bit, my voice was still strong. And I'm just so glad that you guys are here today with me, especially everyone here live and anyone watching the replay. I promise it is just as potent. And I just also want to thank all the beautiful gods and goddesses, the Tuatha Danann, for being here with us today. And in the chat, oh, Bridget, you love Lugh. Oh, I'm glad you thought it was nice. And Ram, you said seeds sown. Um, Emmeline, you said, wow. Oh, thank you. That's such a compliment. Thank you. And Colette, you said it was really potent. Monica, you said you could see the bowl in your hands. I am so glad. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so feel free to keep, sharing more in the chat. Oh, Rama, you experienced was like the cauldron like a golden womb. I love that. I love that. Okay, so I'm about to wrap up for today. Let's see how long. Oh, it hasn't been that long. I was trying to be like good and keep it 1 hour. But it's okay. We're a little bit over. But I just want to invite anyone who would like to go deeper. Well, we have tomorrow. We have tomorrow because tomorrow we are going to be connecting with the goddess Eru. She is the sovereignty goddess for whom Ireland is named. And we're also connecting with Danu, the mother of Ireland. And I share this because Danu really is a goddess of the water, the sea, and Eru is a goddess of the land. So tomorrow really is, I call this an activation, a transmission of the earth and sea. And it's just going to be very potent. It's going to be a beautiful connection. Because when I think of Ireland, you think of the beautiful cliffs. You think like the land itself is spectacular. And yet it's also all of the water, the bodies of water that make Ireland who she is. So tomorrow it's going to be a very earthy day, like sacred time connecting with the goddesses, maybe a final activation with all the Tuatha Danann. But so yes, tomorrow is Irish goddesses of the land and sea. And let me just see in the chat here. I think there are a couple more here that I missed. People are saying it's beautiful. I'm so glad. Okay. So yes, I just want to also say if anyone, we have our beautiful class tomorrow, but if anyone wants to go even deeper, like I said, there are 2 ways to go deeper with me. If you want to go deeper online, there is going to be the 4-week class. All on the Tuatha Danann. We'll be going even deeper with Dagda. We'll be going even deeper with Queen Maeve, who we worked with yesterday. We'll be going even deeper with the 4 fairy treasures of the Tuatha Danann. So if you want to go deeper, that's in the class. So I think my tech team is going to put that link in the chat. So that class starts in the beginning of June in about 2 weeks. If you guys want to go deeper into that Irish mythic energy with me. But if you're really, really wanting to go deep and you want to experience the magic of Ireland for yourself firsthand, I am doing a trip in September and it's going to be epic. It's going to be epic. It is by application only. So if you're feeling called to go on the trip, if you go on the page, there will be a link to book a call with me and we'll see if it is a divine match. I'm pretty sure everyone here is a divine match, but I still want to make sure that, we're going to sacred sites. And I just really want to make sure that everyone who's going on this trip, it's like, it is divinely, I feel like this is a divinely destined trip. I cannot tell you how much of my heart and soul I put into planning this. And I want to experience the magic of Ireland with those who feel called to explore its wonders with me. So anyway, I'm just sending so much love, and I will be sending this replay out hopefully in the next couple hours. Feel free to check out the course and the trip. Remember that if you decide to come on the trip, you actually get the class as a bonus. So anyway, that's it for today. We'll be back again tomorrow. If you want to come live, we'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And it's going to be super epic. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here with me today. I'm sending you all so much love.